Ladies and gentlemen, you might get a conviction of Trump. You could possibly get an appeals court in New York affirming the conviction and not overthrowing the conviction. And then the Supreme Court would toss out the conviction. Okay, because you're talking about a blatant political stunt by Democrats in New York. This is according to Alan Dershowitz in an article in Newsweek. Hit subscribe to this channel right now, ladies and gentlemen. To my super chat, Paul Bartlett, thank you as always, sir. Thank you, Paul. To my super chat, I cannot do this without you. If you enjoy my work, you enjoy these live streams, your super chat support is greatly, greatly, greatly appreciated. If you want to talk about this or any topic regarding the indictment or the economy or foreign policy or Trump v. Biden in 2024, look, this is why they're doing it. We're going to get back to the fact that this will be thrown out eventually, whether it takes a couple of years to get to the Supreme Court. Trump is defeating mashed potato brains according to Real Clear Politics. Share this segment everywhere. Hit subscribe. Tell your friends about this channel. And to my super chat, Paul Bartlett and everybody here, thank you so much. What does this show you, people? This shows you that we are on the right side of history, and I'll tell you why. Donald Trump is running a 4-2-40. Bo Jackson, Deion Sanders, I believe, have the fastest 40 times in the NFL draft history. Darryl Green. These are the fastest NFL athletes of all time. Donald Trump is running a 4-2-4-3-40. Chris Johnson. He's running a 4-2-4-3-30 with a 100-pound backpack called New York Democrats. And Democrats and never-Trumpers in Georgia, and Democrats are loyalists within the federal government. And every single day, loyalists of the Democratic Party and media, an extension of the Democratic Party. We don't have a free press. It's basically state-run media, but it's media that sides with the political party. So we do not have exactly. Mr. Dopeman, thank you. Mr. Dope Man, thank you. Exactly. The UFC appearance. I love Jorge Masvidal. I for years, not just because he likes Trump. He's one of the greatest MMA fighters of all time, in my view. Jorge Masvidal is one of the greatest MMA fighters of all time, in my view. Loves Trump. You had Mike Tyson. You had Kid Rock. Love Kid Rock. Love Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson is one of my, if you grew up in the 80s and 90s, I almost saw Tyson Holyfield 2. Almost. I almost got to see that live. But in Vegas, many years back. But you see, look at that. Tyson, Holyfield. Tyson, Kid Rock, and Dana White. I'll take that over the people at MSNBC and CNN or the aging, angry Hollywood director. Richard, hello. Eric, hello. To the members on this channel, hello. Edward, hello. Rockabilly, hello. We have a lot to talk about. Pearl, Darlene, hello. If you look, ladies and gentlemen, how do you have Trump up 7, Trump up 2 after the man is indicted? Because everybody knows it's political. Everybody knows it's purely political. They despise him and they use government against him. Paul Bartlett, thank you again. They use government against him, and what will happen, according to Alan Dershowitz, is the following. Because the case is to be represented to a Manhattan jury and judge, unless there is a change of venue, it is certainly possible Trump could be convicted against the weight of evidence and against the law. It is also possible that a conviction could be affirmed on appeal by New York courts. It would likely not survive the Supreme Court review, but that will not occur for years, if at all. And in the meantime, Trump will run for president. An indictment cannot constitutionally stop him, neither could a conviction or even prison time. He's taking the Secret Service with him to prison if he goes, which he ain't going to go. But even this is the thing. He becomes even more popular. You're not talking about actual crimes like crimes on Hunter or Hillary and I think Hillary Clinton will be the 24 nominee. Joe, these people actually committed crimes. Okay? These people actually did commit crimes. Okay? And you have a situation where they didn't want a mugshot. Why not? Because they knew they lost. They indicted Trump, and they knew they had lost to Trump the second they indicted him. See, they've reached a point of diminishing returns. They're doing the same thing all the time, but more and more people are saying, yeah, I like Trump. There are more and more people in this country saying, I'd rather have Trump. Okay? The other day, this was about 2 weeks ago, I need a haircut. And I don't have much of a haircut. I just have, shaved my head bald. But a beautiful, wonderful woman from the Middle East works at the hair salon next to another beautiful, wonderful, amazing woman from the Middle East who cuts my hair. Really beautiful people. And she's saying, like, in a lovely accent, Trump was better. And she doesn't know that I have a YouTube channel that I've, written and been published in places. It doesn't know, I'm a YouTuber. It doesn't know my political viewpoint. Because I don't really, talk about my political views. But just they were talking about politics. And they're just openly talking, and this is in Southern California, openly talking about politics. And they just are saying, yeah, you know what? Trump was better. This president stinks. And people from other countries, they don't hold back. They know. There's no the sensibilities of the morally superior among us, the highly educated liberal Democrats. See, a great many people from other countries who come here, they believe in God, they have a religion, they have a culture, they have a wonderful... their culture and religion is not MSNBC, CNN, and, dinner parties where you can't, admit you have a friend who votes Trump. This is not, you have to understand, there's a certain type of person in America who views politics to be a religion, and they disown friends and family because of politics. Well, because of they're ignorant regarding the criminal behavior on their political side. And they were never, you have to understand, people who just look at politics objectively don't think Trump is this monster. They think actually Trump is a better president than Biden. If you just look at it objectively, Monique Smith! Monique being arrested does not block him from running. Exactly. Being arrested does not prevent him from running. Exactly, Monique. Doesn't prevent. And Monique Smith, thank you so much. And if, God forbid, and he won't. But let's just say he goes to, let's say that they got their dream and he went to prison for nothing. For something that's 1/1,000,000th of what Democrats get away with on a daily basis. But, or whatever, in terms of scandal, controversy. Let's say he were to go to prison. If you read the articles on the Secret Service, you'll find out that they actually would follow him to jail or prison. Because of the law protecting presidents implemented in the late 50s, the Secret Service law protecting presidents, the Secret Service would follow him into prison. It's only made him more popular. In the meantime, Trump will continue to run for president. Thank you, Monique. An indictment cannot constitutionally stop him. Neither could a conviction or even a prison sentence. The ill-advised indictment is likely to help his campaign to secure the Republican nomination. You know, everybody from Kinzinger to Mitt Romney understand that they could be next if Democrats view Kinzinger or Cheney or Mitt Romney or Paul Ryan to be a political obstacle, they're next in terms of an indictment. Okay, Trump is the orange canary in the coal mine. Okay, he's a billionaire, and happy Easter to everybody, by the way. He's a billionaire, former president. If they're doing this to Trump, well, what makes Paul Ryan or Mitt Romney or Kinzinger or Cheney think, or any of the Lincoln Project people think that if they lose, if they're no longer in the good graces of the CNN-watching, wonderful, morally superior liberal Democrats, what makes them think that they're not going to be the next Trump? At a certain point, you're going to have to speak your mind and, actually look at things from an objective viewpoint and oppose Democratic policies. Democrats actually don't really have any policies. They claim to have these idealistic policies, and then they do the opposite. They care about the environment, and they flood the country full of 200 million barrels of strategic petroleum reserves. They talk about Medicare for all and all that, and they used to at least, and then they cheat Bernie Sanders. And like Marianne Williamson, very intelligent, awesome person, but doesn't she know that she would be cheated if she ever got close to, and this is why I don't understand, like a person like Marianne Williamson, is not really the average Democrat, is a lot more idealistic, intelligent than the average Democratic politician. Why she would try to uphold a political system that just cheats a person like Bernie Sanders or maybe because a person like Bernie Sanders is part of the racket in the theatrical performance. It's a charade. It's a sad, pathetic charade. I don't understand that. Like, if Trump is the closest thing to punk rock or to rock and roll or to being an individual that you can get in politics. Monique, thank you. Thank you so very much, Monique Smith. Paul Bartlett in Australia, to my Australian crew, thank you. Victory, hello. Aunt Jenny, hello. Brad, hello. Teresa, hello. Clinton, hello. I think that when you look at, if it all comes down to 2 days, people, 2 states, 1 day, the Georgia and Arizona Republican parties, okay? Well, let's look at this here. Hold on one second. Yeah, let's see. Can we do, Georgia. What if we do Georgia? Can we do Georgia? Georgia, Trump, Biden. Let's see here. Okay, so this is probably, is this year, or 24? That's still good for Trump. But it's a red state, so, I mean, you're talking about a red state, but it's still, like, you got to understand that this is still good for Trump. But see, again, hold on one second, Arizona. It all comes down to Georgia and Arizona, okay? I'm going to try to give you good content like I usually do. And see here. Trump +4. But again, it all comes down to these 2 states. And if Trump is competitive now and he's indicted, imagine. Oh, that's actually So these are actually 2 months ago. We're going to have, unfortunately, a stock market crash. I mean, things are good. This is the thing, the hold that people have, the hold that media have on this country. There is such a tremendous emphasis on not offending, on being part, like, where's the individuality? Like, growing up, there was an emphasis in rock and roll or punk music or rap music. Rap music still has that emphasis on individuality. Maybe not like before, but rock and roll, I mean, where is rock? What is rock and roll? I don't even know. Maybe punk. I think punk's still alive. I think punk music is still alive. I don't know if rock and roll is still alive. The wonderful, morally superior among us have destroyed everything they've touched, so who knows? But I remember, if you listen on YouTube to interviews of Motorhead's Lemmy Kilmister, one of the great rock and roll icons of all time, and his idol was Little Richard, and I love Little Richard, one of the founders of rock and roll, if not the founder of rock and roll. And so, and Mickey D, the great drummer for Motorhead, they were in. It's actually on YouTube. And it's an interview they did in France, where they're talking about. This is 20 years ago, ladies and gentlemen. And they're talking about how the musician in rock and roll has changed. And I'm not going to kind of give you exactly what they say, what their viewpoint was. You just watch it. But it's like the individuality is gone, and there's more of like this collective groupthink. And I don't understand that. That's what, like, when my friends would yell at me, my former friends, because I did nothing to them. If anything, I was the one, like, that they disowned for no reason. When they would get upset with me for voting Trump, it's like, number one, that's a political viewpoint. Number two, a political viewpoint is not like an actual, it should never be an offensive. If you convince yourself, if your morality is dependent upon everyone around you agreeing with you, that says something that, like, that's the narcissist, not the person who's an individual, says, I don't really care what CNN or MSNBC or Hollywood thinks about anything. I want record low unemployment, record highs in household median income, and I want a foreign policy. It was a moral imperative to have voted for Trump. I kept saying for years, vote Trump if you want a better foreign policy. I kept saying that for years. Vote Trump if you want a better foreign policy. Victor Garden, thank you. Vote Trump if you want a better foreign policy. We would not have had the atrocity that took place. The invasion in Europe under Trump. Love trucks, hello. John, hello. We would not have had the invasion in Europe. That would not have happened. But see, again, like, you try to tell these things, there's no rebuttal, really. It's just this frenzy. It's about a personality. It's about fitting in, going along, getting along, fitting in, a collective mindset. And, it's like this viewpoint where it's almost like the god of Democrats. A great many Democrats, and that's fine, not a problem at all. It's not a problem. If you're an atheist or agnostic, like Christopher Hitchens, is a huge inspiration to me. But I believe in God, but still, like, the things that his politics, his views on life. But if you are an atheist or agnostic, And the smartest people, the most wonderful people I know are agnostic. They just don't know, and they're not really into anything, but they're good people nonetheless. Like they enjoy being, and these are friends that I have that would never leave me. You know, family, really. More than friends. But anyway, so like, when you have your religion as politics, when you worship CNN or MSNBC or the Washington Post and the New York Times or the prevailing mentality, if groupthink is what gives you spiritual sustenance, you are like a leaf floating in the wind. You have no roots, you have no nothing, you have no foundation. You'll believe anything gleefully and willingly, and you'll be manipulated, and you'll want to be manipulated, and you'll vote against your interests. They say that Trump supporters Trump voters voted for their interests. They got record highs in household median income. President-elect Pressure 609. Happy Easter, Mr. Goodman. God is great. God is great. Thank you. President-elect, happy Easter to you. President-elect Pressure 609. Thank you. Thank you, President-elect. Greatly appreciated. Greatly appreciated. Thank you. Happy Easter to everybody. Love trucks. Trump Donald's 24. What a surprise, and I like it. Exactly. Aaron Donald, yes. That would be fantastic. Aaron Donald's is awesome. Love trucks, thank you. That would be fantastic, actually. That would probably be better than that would be fantastic. That would be better than DeSantis. Aaron Donald's is fantastic. Thank you. Love trucks, thank you. President-elect Pressure 609, thank you. Love trucks, thank you. To my super chat. Can't do this without you. Thank you so very, very much. You'd have to find something, though, to convict him on. Very difficult, since he didn't commit a crime. So, it's tough for Democrats now because Trump didn't commit a crime. But getting back really quickly, you have to understand, this is a very important point, everybody. You have to understand this. And to my super chat, thank you. Thank you, everyone. President-elect, thank you. Monique, Paul, thank you. If you believe that after your last breath on this planet, you're going to have to answer to God, or you're going to there's another world where your actions are judged, then you don't disown friends and family because of politics. Because even if you think somebody is wrong, you realize that, hey, you know what? My allegiance or my loyalty to that person spans beyond political considerations or political allegiances. Even if you've convinced yourself because you're an egomaniac or a narcissist that person's voting for Trump and Trump is the reincarnation of an orange Genghis Khan. No, I read the New York Times and Washington Post and I'm so educated. And Trump. And if I was back in different times, I'd be a freedom fighter and I'd be opposing the tyrants. And now I'm in 2020 and 2016, and I'm opposing the same. I'm just like I would be if I was opposing the bad people in another historical era. But now I'm actually here, so I have to disown friends and family to prove my worth. This is how stupid these people are. They're wonderful people. God bless them. Beautiful people. They're beautiful people. But this is the way they think. They're like, you know what? I'm going to prove that I would be as courageous back then as I am now, so I'll disown my friends. It's like, no, you would actually be in Germany, the most fervent and vicious ideologues were in the universities. That's why, God bless her soul, Sophie Scholl, a young student, Sophie Scholl and her brother, and some other people who went against the university and the students and passed leaflets against the 1930s and 1940s Germans, and her life was taken. Her life was immediately taken by the you-know-who back then. And she was a German student. The universities were the places with the greatest groupthink in Germany in the 1930s and 1940s. They weren't, just like you see now, the absolute mindless groupthink. Then you have these, like, the ideals were different back then. So you have idealism without any understanding of a macro or aggregate view of what's going on. And so you definitely wouldn't be like the average Democrat would actually be the person. The average morally superior, highly educated Democrat would be the person inflicting the most pain upon innocent people during the 1930s and 1940s, cheerleading the atrocities. The people who saved individuals of my background, my religion, and other individuals who perished at that time period were not the people that just got along and fed into the groupthink. The groupthink is that Trump bad, Trump evil, Trump monster. That's the groupthink. It's not, hey, it's a good president. Or, you know what's also admirable? I just don't like his policies. That's totally fine. Once you move beyond that into, he's a danger to democracy. It's like, okay, well, you've lost all attachment to reality, and now you're in your own world, your own fantasy world. And it's like, Nisa, hello. Darlene, hello. Toy Mafia, hello. And so it's interesting because you have these people, and this is Easter Sunday. If you are any religion, and even if you're a religious person or if you're an atheist, once you go into the realm of judgment and condemnation, it's never good to claim you know exactly what God thinks, and therefore you're going to judge and condemn others for just, not for something that's, an actual crime that's an atrocity. You can judge if it's a crime or atrocity, but like a different political viewpoint, falling in love with somebody who's a different culture, like those things. When you start doing that, no matter whether you're religious or not religious, that's bad. That is when you're the televangelist that wants money and, does, things like Hunter Biden. Okay, that's bad. But I think that generally for most people, I'm not saying for everybody, for most people, a healthy acknowledgement or a healthy belief in a religion or in a belief in God is good because it does protect you from stupid groupthink. Now you might say, that's not true. Like the rebuttal from a younger person would be like, that's certainly not true. The most groupthink is in religion. It's like, well, that could be. That could be the case. But also, if you look at two people in America today, the person who, has a religion, has a faith or background, or, a cultural faith, or the person who's just an atheist. What role do you think politics plays in their lives? Who do you think is disowned friends and family? Who do you think despises Trump with like every fiber of their being? You think it's the person that actually votes Trump who is religious, or you think that person disowned friends and family? You think that person has devoted so much time and effort to just despising Biden? No, the person who really doesn't really have any faith in anything, like when they close their eyes, the lights go out, like, or when they, God forbid, take their last breath, the lights go out and that's it. Their heaven, their hell, their spiritual sustenance is CNN and whatever, the average Hollywood director says on Twitter. That's their life does not span beyond the groupthink against Trump. I mean, that is sad to say. It's really sad, and somebody might say, "Well, that's not true. You're distorting." The reality is that it's become a religious, theological pursuit. This type of theology. It's no longer about the rule of law. It is a theology against Trump. Trump is they get a Pavlovian response when they hear his name. When I think Biden, I just think inflation, Hunter's laptop, kickbacks, terrible foreign policy, 90 seconds to midnight. I don't think like, danger to democracy, a republic, blah, 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 blah. You get this nonsense. Like, you have to be really stupid to believe any of this nonsense. Trump is a danger to democracy. Like, Trump doesn't care what you do with your life. Just don't change, like, the definition of words and, utilize euphemisms and, That's another thing. When Democrats argue, they argue with emotion, and then when the emotion doesn't actually win the argument, because it's generally, if you argue from an emotional viewpoint, and that's it, you're going to lose an argument. It's not logical or rational. So then they'll use euphemisms. Then they'll distort the meaning of certain words. Then they'll make absurd leaps of logic. And then they'll twist your opposition to their viewpoint as bigotry, or you're a Russian operative. So it's pretty much like there's not really Pearl. Thank you, Pearl. Pearl Lala, thank you. Aunt Jenny loved trucks. Exactly. There's more to life than politics. Like, this is what I do. I'm a YouTuber that talks about politics and hopefully creates enjoyable content. And I'm going to really start reaching out to a lot of people to have like some awesome interviews throughout the next 2 years to grow this channel and just to spice it up. But like what do I care? Like, why would I care about politics in everyday life? It's like caring about religion. It's like caring about money. You don't talk about money, politics, or religion. I don't care if a friend of mine has $1 million or more or is broke. What do I care? I don't care if whatever the religion that person is. I don't care what their political viewpoint is. I really don't. Because I understand that at the end of the day, morality is completely removed from a political viewpoint, generally. See, again, what they've done is they've twisted everything into they're the people on the right side of history during the 1930s and 1940s. So they play Dungeons and Dragons in their mind. They've like catapulted themselves into a different time period where they have to prove their worth by opposing the authoritarians, by silencing the First and Second Amendment. I mean, the greatest authoritarians today are on the left. Maybe before they were conservatives, but today they're on the left. That's why you see, like, in college campuses, all of this, like, they won't let Ben Shapiro, they won't let the Kentucky swimmer, very courageous woman, they won't let these people speak. It's like, well, this is what I never understood. What are you so upset about? Just live your life. You don't need anyone's validation. These people, you're not validating me. Your existence is independent of what anyone thinks. Just live your life. What does it even matter what anyone thinks? You think I care if somebody doesn't like me because I vote Trump? I don't care. I don't really care if you vote Biden. I don't care how you live your life. It's not just libertarian mindset. It's just a common sense. That's why you get these activists. They don't let people speak on college campuses because, like I said, in the 1930s and 1940s, the colleges, the universities in Germany were the most vicious, fervent adherers to groupthink. And look up Sophie Scholl. She is a true hero, German student at one of the universities, true hero. Because my God, she was tested. My God, how many Sophie Scholls are there in this world today. I could tell you that not many. And they're on a completely different side of the political spectrum that you would think, or I should say, than what is acceptable now in college politics. But you get these people, like all of these students, like, we're not going to let this. It's like, whoa, why not? Why don't you defeat a viewpoint with logic instead of repeating things, yelling at them, yelling and repeating things 100,000 times? Yvette Moore! H.A. Goodman, how's things going in Clown World? I hope everyone is using their Yvette Moore, thank you! Yvette, it's, here's the thing also regarding what you just said. Clinton and Biden, this is the thing that Clinton and Biden, I think Hillary will be the 24 nominee, Hillary Clinton, but what Democrats do, and it's a very, Yvette, thank you so much as always, it's a very cowardly form of politics. They hide behind the most extreme on their political side, and they say, look, we're the normal ones, vote for us. So you have like these optics screaming and shouting and screaming, and you had one New York congressman shout and scream after an atrocity. It's like, well, how did the monster, why did the person end the atrocity? Oh, that's right. People with the Second Amendment came and took care of the situation. Oh, that's right. Okay. That's what always happens. Or the person just stopped. I mean, if you give somebody endless time to commit an atrocity, and anyway, this is basic logic. It's like too much for the morally superior among us to understand. But you have a couple Democrats who sided with protesters yelling and screaming and disturbing, preventing an official proceeding from taking place, which is exactly what happened in January. Oh my God. Oh, Kamala Harris. Oh my God, Democrats. Look, this is emotion. We have to do something. No, you have to stop the maniacs from committing crimes. Stop them. There will not be a law to stop a maniac from committing a crime. We know this because there are crimes committed, unfortunately, all the time by repeat offenders, by career criminals in Democratic-run cities. It has nothing to do with the laws because criminals break laws. They don't care. The only people who abide by laws are law-abiding citizens. You're not saving even one life by enacting more legislation curbing the Second Amendment. Not even one life. Yvette, thank you. But everything Democrats, like, when Democrats look at a problem, they say, what can the state do to solve this problem? But it's almost always the answer lies within the individual and society. The answer does not lie within the state. Sure, the state can help. Of course the state can help. But the state should only be there to assist. It shouldn't be there to solve every problem. Individuals should solve problems. And that also entails personal protection legally through the Second Amendment. Legally. Okay. So you get this like, you get this, it's a shift in American politics. Actually, the Democratic Party's losing influence. And really, the reason why is because if they don't have the optics of people yelling and screaming, we have 320 million Americans. Trump will get almost half the electorate all the time, and that's with the blue states going heavily for the Democrat. Again, he's up by 7 in one poll, and he has no media support. So imagine. Exactly, Eric Samurai, exactly. Yvette, thank you so very, very much, Yvette. I hope all is well. To my Australian crew, my viewers in Australia, thank you. I'm very fortunate to have viewers in Nepal, Australia, UK, everywhere. Nigeria, I have viewers everywhere. I'm very, very proud and happy. India, I'm very happy that I have viewers in so many throughout the world. Also, American politics. I mean, I love my Canadian viewers. God bless you, all my Canadian viewers. I love you. But America, and even more so Canada, there they're splintering off the globe or the planet in terms of politics. It's like you can see like the Earth, and like you see like splintering off into. It's this complete disregard for. I don't know what to say. Like, my mentality is always live your life. You don't need anyone's validation. There was a law in Canada recently about, like, if you say something wrong, you're going to pay $25,000 fine, something like that. It's like, what? You grew up with sticks and stones may break my bones, but bad words will never hurt me. That's, of course, words hurt. But, like, I grew up with that viewpoint of life. Jay, hello. And it's like, why do I need the ideals or the ideology of many of activists? Doesn't matter what the topic is you better agree with us or else you're bigoted. It's like, that's not what bigotry is about. You could do whatever you want with your life. Just don't change language. Don't impose language or thoughts, and you're fine. Do whatever you want. You could do whatever you like in your life. But if you start saying that other people have to speak a certain way or else you will not be happy, I don't think Christopher Hitchens would find that to be quite rational. And he was an anti-theist. You have like all these atheists now who they want to like create a utopia on this earth. But you see what takes place in Seattle. You see these like little zones that it was a nightmare, a hell on earth. And that's, look, like, this is what takes place when you have certain ideologies that rely upon intimidation. When you have an idea, like, the greatest thing about Trump is he's the antithesis of an authoritarian. He doesn't really care, like, what you do with your life. He doesn't care what you do. Then they're like, they're banning books. Like, no, there are certain books that were never allowed in libraries, so... there's content not allowed on any platform. Okay, that doesn't mean you're banning anything. It just means you're still upholding the same rule of law or decorum that you always had. That's another thing. They take they make a statement. They'll make a statement, okay, and it'll be an extreme leap of logic, like it'll be an absurd leap of logic, and they'll give you that absurd leap of logic with a straight face. They will not deviate. They won't even acknowledge that it's like an absurd viewpoint. To my super chat, thank you again. Thank you. Pony Soldier, thank you, Pony Soldier. Thank you so much. Teresa King, awesome. Pony Soldier, I greatly appreciate you giving memberships to people. It's really awesome of you. Very awesome of you. Very kind of you. Very, very kind of you, and I thank you very much, Pony Soldier. Thank you. That is very, very kind. Thank you! Yes! Yvette, exactly. 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 Yvette, thank you. Pony Soldier, thank you. Also, like, Yvette and Pony Soldier, and to my super chat, thank you. Are there any Hollywood stars today? Do we have any celebrities in this day and age? Are there any celebrities? I mean, there are celebrities. There are celebrities. Yes, there are famous people. But are there, like, is there anyone the equivalent of Richard Burton or Gregory Peck or Frank Sinatra or like anybody who you would look at and say, wow, like, or even like, you know, is there an equivalent of Eddie Murphy in the 80s or Tom Cruise in the 80s? Like, this is a world now, it's a very bizarre, like, because the internet has made everything, there's no more, like, first there was, you know, a handful of TV stations, then there was cable. But before the internet, if you were a star, you were really a star. Like, the entire planet knew who you were. Nowadays, you could be right next to a musical artist. You have no clue who that person is, but that person is multi-platinum, multi-millionaire, that has a huge following. You might not know who he is. That wasn't the case. I remember, I love Michael Jackson. I remember when Thriller came out, the music video, the entire city of Los Angeles shut down. Like, and it debuted, like, I think it was like 6 in the evening or 5 p.m., 5:30 or 6 p.m. in the evening one night. And there were only like 7 channels. And you would see, like, so everyone on the planet was a fan. Nowadays, that's not the case. So it's kind of like when Jimmy Kimmel, for example, alienates half the world and these are campaign finance violations, because he's almost certainly, his directors or producers or writers are almost certainly coordinating with Democrats. They can't just every single night along with Stephen Colbert and everybody else saying the same thing all the time. Nowadays, you can, because the market has grown and you can appeal to one specific audience and either lose money the way a lot of these companies are, or still make money. So when Jimmy Kimmel, for example, ignores like half his audience or half of an audience, half of the country, let's say, apparently he's still doing fine because he can just focus on politics and just alienate half the country and still do well. That wasn't the case back in the day. The same thing like with the New York Times or Washington Post or The Atlantic. You actually have to sell newspapers. You still have to sell newspapers and magazines, but not like they did back in the day. So you had to have a more real, honest viewpoint, not just follow the leader and adhere to groupthink and just be accepted. There's a reason that there's not one Trump supporter at The Atlantic or the Washington Post or New York Times, CNN, MSNBC, Rolling Stone, Vanity Fair, Esquire. Not one. Not one. Okay? And Jimmy Kimmel and Stephen Colbert and all of Hollywood and tech and Twitter before Elon Musk. There's a reason. There's a reason. This is not like the society that we all grew up in. Very different society. I love Russell Brand. He's fantastic. And it's moving towards that. We're moving towards that, like, this is the past 3 years, because you had people who took in 2020 a serious issue, shut down society, tried to take as much power as possible, consolidate as much political power and influence, and it backfired. Now even less people trust government and media because they were wrong about pretty much everything. So it is, Eric Samurai, it is. But see, again, I think ultimately we're going to move towards the Russell Brand view of politics, or that type of mentalities. He obviously is more, I don't know if he's libertarian or I think he's more interested in the truth. The truth, if you really look at the truth, you're siding more with the conservative viewpoint on things than the liberal viewpoint. In this, maybe 20 years ago, that wasn't the case. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very, very much. Hit subscribe to this channel. I'm running out of steam a little bit. I will be back, obviously, tomorrow morning. I'll try to do a live stream tomorrow evening, so be here. But anyway, to my super chat, thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. And thanks, everybody. God bless.